Man, oh man, is this spicy. This is awesome for the NHL offseason. The Anaheim Ducks just got hit with an offer sheet by the Philadelphia Flyers where they tendered an offer to Leo Carlsson for 5 years at $90 million. That works out to an annual value of $18 million per year, which would make Leo Carlsson the highest paid player in the NHL. The Anaheim Ducks have 7 days to match this offer, and if they do not, they will lose Carlson to Philly and also will receive the next four first round picks from the Flyers. Now, here's something that I got to clear up. I've seen some stuff online. It seems like some people aren't really familiar with how offer sheets work. So just want to quickly give this off the top before I get into more details. So Carlson physically signed a contract with Philly. That's what an offer sheet is. He's a restricted free agent. He's free to sign with whoever. And pretty much any RFA can sign with whatever team they want. Then his own team has the right to match that offer. So usually, a player, if they sign, they've also willingly signed. It's got to take two to tango, right? So another team wants that player, the player has to sign that contract as well. So Leo Carlsson has actually put pen to paper and signed a contract with the Flyers for 5 years at $18 million per season. The Ducks either match or they don't match. There is no negotiations. I've seen people being like, well, does that mean that Anaheim can negotiate? That's not how it works. It's 5 at 18. That's the whole point of the offer sheets, is either you match at the contract that was signed or you take the compensation that an offer sheet entitles you to. Now, here's the thing. When I think of an offer sheet, there's a gazillion reasons why this should be done more regularly in the NHL. And it blows my mind because, again, this whole mentality that a lot of these GMs have, this old boys club of not wanting to do anything to ruffle feathers or this and that, what does that have to do with anything? It's a way of doing business. And now what's happening is people are realizing that, oh, maybe this is a tool I should use to improve my team. And, it boggles my mind that this has been an issue for so many years. I remember back in the day, it was Dustin Penner when Anaheim had him and the Oilers signed him away. Brian Burke, I remember, wanted to fight Kevin Lowe. That's how ridiculous that was. But why not use it? It's a tool in the CBA. It's not like it's not part of the rules. And it's a way to achieve what you need to achieve. Look, especially nowadays, now the way the NHL is changing in this last year, we've seen this, off season has already shown how much the league has changed because of the current situation in the league. The cap number is rising. There is going to be a high ceiling and a high floor for the cap that has to be met. Also, a lot of the star players, the young players, teams are starting to lock them up to long-term extensions. And, so that means the free agency class, the unrestricted free agency class of July 1st is going to keep getting weaker and weaker. So if you go out and, you're signing some guy, why would you not go out and get a player that actually makes a difference? And, for you, compensation, it doesn't matter. So they have different levels of compensation in terms of tiers. So I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's if you sign some guy for 11 million, I don't remember, it's 11.3 million. If the player signs for above that, you have to give up 4 first round picks. Now, this is your own first round picks. Again, I've seen comments online. People are like, oh, Anaheim should just take the picks from Philly and turn around and flip them and, offer sheet Jason Robertson until Dallas gets him. That's not how it works. You have to have your own picks, not another team's picks. So even a couple of years ago when we saw those successful offer sheets by the Blues, Doug Armstrong had to go back, and I think it was with Pittsburgh, he had to make a side deal to get his second round pick back from them in order to make those offer sheets for Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. That was a masterclass on how to, take a team that's against the cap and use it to a situation. Now, here's the thing. Anaheim has a lot of cap space. Pat Verbeek actually did say that, publicly said that he will match any offer that comes his way. Now, the whole point is Anaheim's got $38 million in the cap space. That's great. Leo Carlsson, and I've seen a lot of people in terms of understanding, his value doesn't make sense. If Leo Carlsson doesn't, get signed, Anaheim loses that number one center that they were trying to build, make their team stronger, and they made the playoffs with. Philly, on the other hand, is a team that I actually made a comment like this on an online page somewhere just a few weeks ago. The Flyers were the perfect team to do an offer sheet because they made the playoffs. They do not have a number one center. Like, they have one of the weakest groups. Like, two teams that I've seen probably for years struggle with having an actual center are the Calgary Flames and the Philadelphia Flyers. You could have made the argument that the Flames could do an offer sheet, but it doesn't make sense based on where they are in their rebuilding cycle. Because first off, the Flames freaking never rebuild, so that's like new. But number two is, if they're rebuilding, those picks are going to be high picks for Calgary. Like, if you saw their team, they traded Blake Coleman the other day. If you saw Calgary's roster, they suck. They're not competing for a playoff spot. Of course, every team wants to be all, you rah, 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 we're trying to make the playoffs. Of course, I get that. Players are competitive. But the Flames are going to suck next year, man. There's a lot of teams that are not good, that offer sheeting some guy doesn't make sense for them because those picks would be high. Whereas for Philly, if everything goes according to plan in terms of how they play this year, if they had a guy like Leo Carlsson, yes, things can happen. You can have a bad year. And so one of those picks might be a lottery pick. But chances are all four of those first round picks are going to be in the teens or in the 20s somewhere, right? If everything goes according to plan and Philly is competing for a playoff spot and gets into Stanley Cup contention. So you got to weigh the difference. So I've seen so many comments, and people, again, aren't understanding the point of this. You need to overpay on an offer sheet to force the other team not to match. Otherwise, it's pointless, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. This is something that happened with Carolina and Montreal many years ago when Marc Bergevin offer sheeted Sebastian Aho, which was like a dumb offer to begin with, because all it did was it helped Don Waddell when he was with Carolina speed up their negotiation process with Aho. And I think it was like for 5 years, 8.5 or something. Like, it was pretty much market value. It wasn't anything crazy. You have to go above and beyond to make the other team not want to match that offer. The only other time it's going to work is if a team is up against the cap that they can get screwed over. So, for example, the Dallas Stars are a perfect example of this. They have cap issues. That's the reason they can't get Jason Robertson signed. They were worried also with Maverick Bourque that he was a prime offer sheet candidate. And what they did was they flipped him on July 1st. They made a deal early to send him and Ilya Lyubushkin to the Nashville Predators. And the reason they did that is, if Bourque was signed, they probably wouldn't be able to meet it, right? Like, there's a certain threshold. I think it's $4.75 million or something like that. That the most you would give up is a second round pick. They wouldn't have been able to keep him unless they were able to obviously move Robertson. So they instead unloaded him plus, cap casualty and Lyubushkin to save some money for a second and a third. Now, for Anaheim, there is no cap crunch. They do have to get Cutter Gauthier under contract and Pavel Mintyukov as well. They also have to address their defense because right now, with John Carlson gone, Jacob Trouba gone, Anaheim's defense corps is actually looking pretty crappy. They have Mintyukov, they have obviously Jackson Lacombe, and they did sign Nick Jensen. But overall, they're still missing a lot. I think the right side has nobody really of any substance that they need to make some moves. So sure, they can keep Carlson at $18 million, but I just think that, they have cap issues they're going to have to think about in the future. But at the same time, if you do not match this and you let Carlson walk, you'll get four first round picks. You can package them up and try to make a deal some way, somehow. Sure, you can do that. But the thing is, you need to look at the fact that it's very hard to get a number one center in the league. Leo Carlsson is already ascending easily to be one of the top ones. Don't forget, people are seeming to forget this. Leo Carlsson was a top 5 scorer early in the year. That draft with Bedard and Carlson and Fantilli, there was a lot of good players picked at the top, and that was the last time we saw, a good player. Gavin McKenna, Ivor Stenberg were the top 1-2 guys this year. Leo Carlsson is better than either of them. I'm sorry, but just by default, he's a center. Center's always going to have more value than a wing. And Carlsson is only 21 years old. 3 years he's played, and every year he's slowly improved. So Carlsson is projecting to be one of the stars of the NHL. So yes, if he gets paid 18 million now, this does not mean, oh my gosh, if he gets 18, that means McDavid should get 25. Macklin Celebrini should get 30. That's not how it works. It's a totally different scale. Philly is trying to scare Anaheim into taking this deal, so they're overpaying. It's very front loaded, apparently, according to some sources. I think Elliot Friedman had this out there that Carlson would get like 39 million up front, like in the next year or something, bonuses or whatever the structure is to set it up, to really, really make it hard for Anaheim to match. They've tried something like this before. They tried to do Shea Weber all those years ago from Nashville, and the Predators matched it. I still think, chances are Anaheim's going to match this. I actually would be shocked if they let him walk. I don't see that happening because he is their key cog. Yes, other players, Beckett Seneca's there, Lacomb's there, Lucas Dostal for net. They have a lot of players on that team, and obviously Cutter Gauthier, but Carlson is the main piece. And so the other thing is, how do Ducks fans feel about this? Because it's not like Philly just made the offer. Carlson actually signed the contract, meaning he was looking out for this. Does this mean that he's a certain way, that he's all about money and doesn't care about winning? Like, a lot of narratives get pushed on players when it's probably not fair, when there's usually more to the story. Hey, if I'm 21 and I'm getting offered 18 million bucks a year, that's, probably at least 3-4 million more than what my current employers offer me. Why the hell would you not sign the offer sheet? Like, think about it. There was rumblings that Columbus last year wanted to offer sheet Mitch Marner. It was a couple of years ago, whatever, or make an offer. And, Marner has to accept that. And Marner had no interest in leaving Toronto, being his hometown team at that point. So things like that happen now. We saw this the other day too, where Sonny Meta, the new, fresh face with the New Jersey Devils as their GM, he made an offer sheet on Barrett Hayton for 1 year, which is right at the cusp. And the thing is, that one, I think that Jersey is probably going to get Hayton, because the way it's structured is, if Utah matches that offer sheet, they can't trade Hayton for 1 year, and really all they would do is walk him right to UFA status next year. So unless they really need him, and they went out and traded for Vincent Trocheck and they got Anders Lee, they don't really need Hayton. So for New Jersey, they could also perhaps keep Hayton and then have Dawson Mercer as a trade chip, move him around. They still have Heischer and Hughes there. So there's a lot of different ways that they could, New Jersey did this. They can use Hayton as their third line center and leave it at that. So that's a little bit different situation. Whereas this, this is a brilliant move by the Flyers. And I know people aren't liking it. People are hating it. It's so extreme. People like Anaheim's dumb. Like, how can you not match this? Like, that should be a no-brainer. Some people like, let the kid walk. He's greedy. He's obviously overpaid. He's not worth a penny. Blah, blah, blah. And the other thing is, which is more probably the realistic tone, is Verbeek screwed up here and probably should have signed Carlson when he had the chance. And offer sheets, to me, are a tool that should be used to improve your team. And so many teams should be utilizing this, especially when it comes to RFAs. And that way you have a shot to improve your team. But to get there, you also have to manage your cap space well, right? So Philly obviously has still had I think $29 million. So if they had committed 18 to Leo, there's still 11 million to work with. And some of these teams, if Edmonton had a young guy, considering how poorly Bowman was with constructing that roster, they would get screwed over, right? Toronto, with all these signings they made, and let's say Gavin McKenna is going to be due a new contract in 3 years, right? It's also based on where the team is in their competitive life cycle and where they're trying to go and how far they are from that goal. Anaheim is a better team than Philly, but Philly has an opportunity with, they got the wings, they got D, they're confident in goal with Vladar, they're missing an elite center. They were able to move Trevor Zegras there, and I think it was March around the trade deadline part. But anyways, they need more firepower up front and down the middle, and that's where Leo Carlsson will give them that. So that's why I think it was a brilliant move of what they did. So let's see how things play out. We'll know in the next 7 days. Maybe Anaheim even matches it tonight. But either way, NHL has gone interesting. It would be awesome if there's more offer sheets. I personally think if Leo Carlsson gets matched, if I'm Philly, I go for Connor Bedard. If he gets matched, I go for Adam Fantilli. If he gets matched, you can throw out a lifeline to someone else. Like, that's the whole thing, is you need to sign your RFAs before you do anything else. And Pat Verbeek's been pretty hard on his own, negotiation ploys with his players. And this might be karma biting him in the ass. Not to mention the whole Cutter Gauthier thing, right? Like, they still need to sign him too. And don't forget the whole thing with Philly. So in a way, this is Danny Briere. Funny enough, the Drysdale Gauthier deal happened, and the Trevor Zegras deal happened. No problems. But then they went out and do this. Like, wow. All I can say is that this is awesome. It's great for the league. Hope to see more of these happen. And I think it will be the coolest thing ever if Philly gets him and Anaheim doesn't match. So let's see how things go. Talk to you guys later. Peace.